everybody, Merry Christmas from us here at Deysel Farm. Sorry we've been so very quiet.
Things are happening.
Indeed there are. Lots has been going on here on the farm. So as you guys know, it's winter here, so things slow down when it comes to work and projects, so that's why we've been so quiet. But we have been busy with other projects like being recorded.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanna break the news?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
So we have been on a TV show for SVT here in Sweden. So they've been following us around and just getting some footage of our daily lives here as expats. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, and it's nice. Someone else actually holds the camera for a change. But yeah, the TV show will air in probably a year's time only or something. So they're busy doing content and stuff for now. So yeah, we'll share more info once it's a little bit closer to the time. But be sure to subscribe for more updates. So in this installment of things that are different in Sweden, we're just randomly going to do like we did the first time, I think.
I think so.
Just get some things off our list that we've been making.
We feel you guys can already all count, so we don't do the 10 top or whatever. We just give you some decent facts.
Cool. So yeah, we're going to list another 10 things today. And this is in no particular order.
Yeah?
We have a list that is probably 50 things long, but we're going to cover another 10 today.
Yeah.
So let's get started. Yeah. So this one is titled "No Help Without an Appointment."
Yeah.
And appointments are very, very important in Sweden.
Yeah, whether it's meeting someone for a sale or having something fixed or doctor's appointments, there is no such thing as drop in.
Even like standing in a queue, right? You get a ticket.
Yeah, everything
number.
has a number, a place, and an order, and you may not go out of line in that regard.
When it is your time. Yeah. So when we still had the van, and so every year in Sweden you have to have your car inspected. So we took the van for an inspection, and that's when I just checked the lights and everything and the brakes, make sure it's still roadworthy and safe. So I had it scheduled for the Saturday, and I happened to be in the area on the Friday before. And Daniela and I, we drove to the place, and there was no one there, very important detail. And the guy was sitting on his chair, just like on his phone, messing around. And I stopped by, I said, "Hey, I have an appointment for tomorrow, but I'm here today. I'd really like to not travel here again. Do you think that you could help me today?" And he looked up from his phone and he said, "You know, we're just super busy right now." And I thought he was joking, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, "Yeah, you'll have to come back tomorrow." So, yeah.
And that being said, you know, it's not just this, it's not an appointment that's going to take this guy 2-3 hours. This is maybe like a 10-15 minute little inspection.
Yeah.
It's not this heavy thing that needs to happen. So in the time it took him just to tell us that they're super busy, he could have already been done.
Oh, maybe.
You know, so yeah, it's appointments. Yeah, for sure. Appointments.
Important things.
Stick to it, don't try and bend it unless you change it online or something.
Cool. So at number 2, again, no specific order.
Yeah.
We have unexpected medical payments after an operation. So that's not really a thing here, right?
No.
So in South Africa, do you want to explain how that
Yeah,
works?
so I'll give you a bit of a rundown. So for example, in South Africa, first of all, it's not really state covered medical. It's normally paid by medical insurance or something like that we use. And when you go to the doctor, there's, there's a lot of the times a specialist has like a co-payment or something like that, so you'll pay for that. But when you go for surgery, there's always these unexpected costs, whether you have blood tests. Often the medical aid doesn't pay all the blood tests. The anaesthetists often charge something like 4 times the medical aid rate, so you end up paying in for the anaesthetists and then the room. So by the time you're done having an operation, you're out something like over 10,000 or more. You know, that often happens where you get this bill and you're like, okay, I thought I had medical aid.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's been a few times where like you would have gone for an operation, and we would have. I think we got bills for like 30,000 rand.
yeah,
which
the last doctor I had in South Africa was about,
which is like 16,000, and that's after our private medical aid paid stuff, and the doctors charged even more than private rates.
Yeah, so the medical costs can be quite exorbitant in South Africa. So when you have an operation here, you almost feel it coming. You think, oh geez, what's gonna happen type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for an operation a few months ago, and you wait for that bill to come. Now every time you go to a doctor, you pay a standard. I mean, don't quote me on this. Sometimes it might change, but so far I've paid about 200 crown per appointment, and that 200 crown covers any blood tests that happen in that appointment, basically anything that happens within that appointment. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like end to end for that amount, unless it's a new.
Yeah, there's
thing.
no weird hidden costs. I mean, the only extra cost you would pay over and above that is if you get medication. And even that's regulated. I mean, the medication here is not super expensive. And then there's also like a payment gap thing. So like once you've paid a certain amount, it starts being free. And it works the same with the medical appointments as well. Once you've paid over a certain amount within that year, it becomes free medical visits until a certain time the following year. So that's really, really cool. And so I went for an operation, and I was expecting some extra bills for, the stay there, the food, or, whatever happens in hospital. We all know there's always hidden costs. And when I eventually had the operation, because I had spent a night, because the hospital was a bit further away than home, so I had to spend an extra night at the hospital before the operation. The day of the operation, I think I was there a day or two, and everything's covered in the hospital. They give you pretty much everything you need. And maybe a month later or so, I received the bill, and that entire operation cost me 100 crown. I mean,
so it's not free.
It's not free, but it's practically free.
Yeah.
So I have to say, from a medical costs perspective, like you can't beat it. I'm used to paying really high costs in medical stuff, and I mean, can't beat it.
Then completely different subject, of course. Number 3. So we've got smash and grabs. Now, those of you who
What's a smash and grab?
Smash and grab. Funny enough, like we took a picture. There's a food truck in Skellefteå, and I'm sure they're elsewhere as well, but it's called Smash and Grab Burgers, and we thought it was really funny. So smash and grab in South Africa is very common. It is where they smash your car window and they grab stuff out of it. Now usually when you drive around in South Africa, you make sure that all your valuables are like somewhere else than visible.
Yeah,
like your bag.
You can't have anything visible, not a phone, not a bag.
Or a necklace.
Jewelry in general.
Yeah, we know of, I mean, this is super common. Like basically everyone I know has been smash and grab, right? Yeah. They will take, mobile phones are really easy to take. Because usually like you put them on like a bracket in your car.
Yeah.
In other countries. In South Africa, you would put it on a bracket sometimes, but you would put it
strategically hidden.
Yeah, or like on the inside, Yeah. But I mean, we know people who's had their windows smashed and like jewelry stolen, and it just Yeah, it's a thing, and we actually have got very strategic ways of driving even in South Africa. Maybe
Absolutely,
this is actually not something that we wrote down, but like leading into that, you know, because hijackings are a thing, smash and grabs are a thing, and so forth. So what we would do is, like, let's say, like, so at night, firstly, like, you don't stop at a red light.
Yeah,
you know?
it's basically a suggestion, not a...
No, I mean, you would look if there's other... You would look if there's other cars coming and stuff, but you wouldn't stop because it's dangerous, right? Similarly, you wouldn't like stop necessarily under a bridge or a place that's a little bit more obscured so that you can get mugged.
Yeah, and near bridges and things like that. If you do need to stop at a red light or something, you tend to look around a lot, especially if you're near a bridge or a ditch sort of that goes down, anywhere someone could come out from a hiding place.
No, bushes.
Yeah, so you stay on very high alert.
Yeah, and you would drive, you wouldn't stop close to the car in front of you. You would usually leave about a car's distance so that you can like quickly go around it, escape somehow. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, what we do is we just leave bags everywhere and phones.
If you even
wherever.
lock your car, I mean, so many people leave their cars running.
Yeah.
Even, you know, like if you had to leave your car running in South Africa, it would just disappear.
Oh, they think it's a trap.
Yeah, they would probably think it's a trap.
Then next one. So we spoke about smash and grabs and where you hide stuff in your car. You have to put your bag under your seat, all that types of stuff. Speaking of, so in traffic, right? So using horns, hazards, you know. So and that's one thing I never really realized.
Yeah.
Until we came here, how we in South Africa use things while we drive.
It's
like,
a type of language, actually.
Yeah, like you're like, thank you.
Or like you flash your lights if you see it. So in South Africa, a very common thing to do is if I'm coming this way and I see a cop on the side of the road, you flash your lights to the oncoming people to let them know to slow down because you just saw a cop.
Which is super illegal to do anyway.
Yeah, but it's a super nice thing to do with people coming. So people generally say thanks, and then you see them slow down.
But they say thanks by flashing you back.
Yeah, they flash you back saying thanks.
Yeah.
And then you carry on, you know, or the hazards, you use your hazards to say thank you.
That's also thank you. So let's say someone gives you a space so that you can go in, you know, you would like use your hazards, you know, and that's it. Or like if someone moves a bit to the side of the road and you can overtake them, you also use your hazards, you know, just quickly on and off.
Yeah.
And also your hazards for when you stop. Like if your car's broken down, but I mean if you quickly stop somewhere on the side of the road, you would switch on your hazards.
Yeah, just to let people know that they can go around you, basically.
And I've never seen that done in Sweden. In Sweden, it's like hazards are for if there is a problem.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've seen it happen. Yeah. Like someone ends up in a ditch, then the hazards go on. You know, or you're helping someone
that they're in the ditch.
In a ditch, you know. But I mean, hazards are for those are like emergency lights, super emergency lights. Horns we spoke about now, where you would quickly say thank you. You know, and I mean, I know when we were like in a lot of other countries, like the UAE, Egypt, and those things. I mean, that's super common.
Yeah.
Where it's like
thanks,
you know, or like when it's like you
move
know,
out the way.
Well, or hope you die type of thing. And here hooting is, again, I mean, where we live. I mean, in Stockholm, we hear a lot more hooting, of course, but not so much here. It's
yeah. Though something I've also noticed is overtaking is not quite as aggressive. Like the driving styles, I mean, people do sometimes drive a bit faster, and there are obviously people that overtake, but there's like, it's like there's no problem if you overtake someone here. In South Africa, I don't know if it's a bunch of bros or some shit, but like it's when you overtake someone, it's almost like you're offending them.
Yeah, like you're insulting them.
Yeah, like they will like start speeding up to your car a bit and start messing around, or someone will overtake you and then they will start like putting on brakes, and it's quite an aggressive interaction, and you don't have that here. Like you're just so happy someone overtook you so that they're no longer behind you. You know, it's a very different interaction with overtaking as well.
Yeah, of course. And again, because I know there'll always be that special person in the comments that's like, yeah, but it's different in cities. We know. It's just where we came from and where we're now. These are things that are different.
Yeah, for sure.
Read the disclaimer. So on traffic, we also have getting pulled over by the police, and you have got first-hand experience on that.
Yes, I have got first-hand experience. So I, the other day, got pulled over for the first time in Sweden, going just a little bit faster in the slow zone. So I wasn't exactly speeding. But the cops were really nice, super nice. You know, it's standard to take an... Because, look, I got pulled over, 9 o'clock in the morning? 10 o'clock in the morning?
And
latest.
she was pissed. Just joking.
So the standard procedure is to take a alcohol test. So you have to do the blow test. Obviously, I passed.
Congratulations.
And then they take your ID and they write you up, and the ticket basically automatically goes to you digitally. And there is no getting out of that ticket. Or anything like that. There's no sort of like warning. Maybe you could see they were like maybe considering it, but because it was maybe like 2 or 3 Ks over what they would maybe be more lenient on.
Yeah.
Like, no. So they gave me the ticket. Well, they sent me the ticket, and off I went. And just so you know, the ticket was a lot. It was close to something like 3,000 crown, and it wasn't that big of an infringement.
Yeah, you were like a few like what it was like a 40 zone, I think. Right?
It was where the 40 becomes or the 50 just becomes a 40 for like 100 meters, and then you go back up to 50. It was like in between those areas, and I was going, I think, like 53.
Okay.
So. And I think there's a 7-kilometer grace. So if you go like 47 in a 40 zone, then you'll be okay. But like if you're like 48, 49, 50, well then. Yeah. So I was over the grace, and by far, because it had changed already. So yeah.
But also, sorry. But also the way that the police interact with you here in South Africa, and again, like just generalizing, there are many good police officers in South Africa, but it's common knowledge that a lot of times you get pulled over and the police officer will say, so what are we going to do about this? You know, you're like, write me a ticket. He's like, I haven't eaten today. You know?
Yes, and I could really enjoy a Coke.
Yeah, well, your McDonald's on your passenger seat looks really delicious, sir. But there's almost a code speak going on, you know. No one can say, you know, if I give you my food, will you let me go? No, it's more like, oh, but you do look hungry. Have some McDonald's, you know, and then
don't worry.
Yeah, I will let you off with a warning this time.
Yeah, they don't walk up to you. If you get no, I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's like generally the couple will not start writing immediatyou.
Yeah, but again, I mean, generally that's important, right? So it's happened many times where, I mean, you stop and that guy's like, you end of story.
Yeah,
you know. And there's many times where there's like just a genuine nice cop where you say, listen, I messed up, you know.
Oh, I had that before. When I was still young, I'd sort of just moved out the house. I think it was like 18, 19, just got your driver's license, and you know, you think you're invincible at that age. And one of the older Afrikaans cops, I think, pulled me over,
That's why it's nice.
and he was like, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I was like, "Yes, officer." He's like, "Your dad would be so worried about you."
How fast were you going?
I think it was in 140
In
and 90.
140 kilometers an hour in a 90 zone.
Yeah. So, and he was like, "Listen, slow down. Your dad must be worried about you." And he let me go with a warning. He just gave me a warning and let me go. No ticket, nothing. So, you know, you get the nice ones.
Yeah, as you probably do everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Then again, I've gotten pulled over in Mozambique before. Like 5 cops with automatic rifles. They take your license, your driver's license, and they leave you there
For long.
for like 2 hours. You know, and they come back. You're there, and they're like, "You're gonna pay now," and you're like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah.
So happens everywhere, I guess. So let's move along. Restaurants and play places.
Oh goodness, yeah.
So in South Africa, we have. It's quite common to have places for the kids at restaurants, and I'm not talking like some excuse of there's a little, you know,
Corner with toys.
yeah, it's usually like a really nice play section. Not in all the restaurants, but in a lot of them, there's really, really big sections that you can play in, and then it's usually a good restaurant with a really nice play section. Here it seems to be again where we live. Don't know if it's like the same everywhere.
Not in the city.
But you could go to a place like Leo's Leekland, which is great. It's a beautiful play place for the kids. But there's like a cafeteria style eating place, right?
It's not a restaurant.
It's not a restaurant. Yeah. It's like, oh, you want to remain here? There is food.
But there's also, I mean, you have got places like McDonald's. But again,
it's McDonald's.
It's like a takeaway. Yes, they have a play place, and you know that pretty much sums it up. And you have to eat. The whole thing we're saying is you have to be cool to eat fast food if you want your kids to be able to be entertained.
Yeah, and especially in a country where it's pretty cold.
Yeah, and also
most of the year.
Like it's cold, and there's so many things geared towards kids.
Yes.
You know, they're so like pro kids and pro kid rights and so on and so forth. So it's really weird.
Yeah. So that's something that we feel is missing here, and we think that there's a really good gap in the market. So anyone who's interested in some type of business idea,
Yeah, just have a look at like Pappuccinos in South Africa. They'll give you some ideas. That's like a really nice sort of Italian restaurant with amazing stuff for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much opportunity for that here.
And it's not Italian takeout.
No,
it's
it's like you sit down and it's a proper restaurant. So yeah.
So speaking of Italian food, I guess that leads nicely into cutting pizza, and that's something that I've heard on YouTube before we moved here, and they were like, places in Sweden don't cut your pizza, and we were like, okay, cut your own pizza, but you know, let's see. But it just doesn't happen.
It really doesn't. You know, the first time we had pizza, I think we were probably on the go somewhere.
Yeah.
And we were like, great, we're going to have some slices of pizza, and you open the box and it's this pizza, and you're like, now what? Because now you don't have a scissors on you, you don't have a knife on you, you don't have anything on you. Yeah. So what do you do?
Yeah. Some places actually you can ask.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's just it's strange. I've never been in a country where it's like the assumption is that the pizza shouldn't be cut.
Yeah. We always had cut pizza.
Yeah, and it's not
Africa.
not like Swedish people eat it differently. Like they roll it up and eat it like a fat burrito or something. No, and I know some people in Sweden say, yeah, but it's so that everyone can choose how they want their slices. But guys, it's laziness. Let's be honest.
Just have your pizza cut. Cut your pizzas.
Right. And you could charge extra.
Yeah,
So speaking of food, lunch.
it's a thing.
Lunch. Going on lunch? You mean,
Yeah.
or like lunch at
Lunch.
your
Lunch is a thing.
at your workplace?
Lunch is a thing.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether you're at work or at home or like much like fika, lunch is a thing.
Okay.
Most restaurants have like a lunch menu.
Sure.
So you'll go and there'll be this buffet or lunch menu or something, mostly buffets though.
How's that different in South Africa?
South Africa, you normally, I don't know, you eat at your desk or, maybe you have lunch.
Or you make like a smaller thing out of it. Maybe on a Friday you like, let's all go for lunch.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
okay.
But I mean, yes, sometimes we went for lunch and stuff in South Africa, but it's nowhere near as a thing here. It's like maybe you went for lunch.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's like maybe you didn't go for lunch.
And eating at your desk is, I wouldn't say frowned upon here, but it's not. It's not appreciated.
No.
At least what I've seen. I'm sure there's some companies that are different again. But yeah, I mean, it's lunch is a thing. Don't have to
And
say
also,
much more.
like a lot of companies even feed their staff and stuff like that. Like
Really?
yeah. So I mean, look, the school, for example, teachers get lunch. They get lunch with the kids because the kids get fed lunch, and Millie's and like Melon Mall and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty different. I would really say like the whole lunch vibe is very different.
Yeah. Number 9. So people speak in weeks, which is
I can't wrap my head around that.
which is something I've never had to do. I don't recall ever having to speak to someone in weeks. So in South Africa we would say, oh, let's do this February next year or something, where
And you'd be like round February X dates, like between like the 3rd and the 4th or like the 3rd and the 6th or something. You would never be like week of. One of the trickiest things is someone, especially dealing with restaurants and things like that, is often someone will say, oh, I need this in week 22.
yeah.
And you're like, yeah,
Yep. Anyway, but
yeah.
I guess if you're used to it, it makes a lot of sense. Just doesn't.
Yeah, it's
Trust.
tough.
Cool. And the last one is very difficult to explain, but it's talking about the energy of Africa.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I don't really know how to explain it, but we will try. So in South Africa, you see the energy of Africa in the people itself. And I know we give a lot of gears to like things like crime and so forth, and like she said, some people might be angry on the road, but it's probably, or definitely, the friendliest and the nicest people that you will ever meet. That you will ever meet.
You'll ever meet.
They are so warm-hearted, kind-hearted people, and it has this vibrance about it. And I think it's because it's this melting pot of different cultures and races together, but they've created together this
energy. There's so many different walks of life in South Africa, and when they all come together, there's so much vibrancy. Like when you walk down the street, you've got the African women that are it's a thing in their culture that they don't speak softly, because if you speak softly, you are maybe speaking about someone else. So they have this habit of speaking really loud to each other, and they'll speak to each other like across a room.
Yeah, but they laugh and they joke.
And they laugh and joke, and it's happy. And some of them are just walking around singing, and you'll get this guy like this, just someone just carrying on in the garden, just singing his songs, or you'll walk in the shops and like the person ringing up your food is like, hey, how you doing? I mean, you don't know them from a bar of soap, but they're like just friendly, and there's so much of that sort of joyful energy, which is so weird for a place that has got so much trouble, right?
I have to be positive. I have to stay positive.
Like the people there, it's so hard to describe, but if you go to Africa, or South Africa for that matter, where we came from, and you have this in mind, you will understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's I think something we must put into this, just to give you an idea, is maybe pata pata.
Yeah.
Like a clip from Pata Pata, just so that you can understand the feeling you get in South Africa.
Yeah. And if YouTube blocks this, we'll just link to it.
Yeah.
Right? Because monetization, rights, copyright, all those things. Fun things.
But it's definitely worth a listen if you haven't heard it. So I've said it before, the people here are super, super nice, and everyone is willing to help you at the drop of a hat. It's just, there is especially in winter. I mean, summer is a bit more happening, but
I mean, like,
just more vibey,
more happy. Yeah. Sure.
And I think winter does make people very but there is a very there's a quietness here, and that can be a bit, coming from South Africa to that quiet, and you don't hear people shouting at each other across a room, or it's all very,
it's like a library
down. Yeah,
it's like living in a library. It's a really nice place.
A really nice library.
It's a really nice place. It's really nice, but it's like very like, let's be quiet and let's talk to each other. And
everyone sort of keeps it to a bare minimum.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, I mean, that's cool. We're South Africans, and I mean, we can't change that, and we don't want to change how we are. But I think many times, I mean, I know the first impressions, like when Swedes meet us, they're just like,
I think they're shocked.
They're like, okay. It's like,
we're maybe a little bit loud and out there in the beginning, and I think you get to know us a bit better. But I think we're probably a bit of a big bite as a first meet.
Yeah, and maybe just as a comparison, and nothing against Americans. My brother lives there, but even South Africans think Americans are loud. Okay, so it's not like...
Yeah, we're not that loud, yeah.
It's not like that level. It's just a more different level.
Yeah.
Good. Great. Yeah, so now that I've managed to lose half our subscribers... Levels,
yes, levels.
Right, so I think we're going to wrap up there, because this is becoming a pretty long video. But if you like this type of long-form podcasty discussions that Daniela and I have, we'll also maybe get in some other South Africans at some stage.
That could be fun.
Speak to them, interview them a little bit. Of course, in summer, we'll do a little bit more farm videos, when it's more,
when there's more projects actually happening.
When there's less snow.
We also have a surprise coming.
Yeah, we have a ton of them coming, so it's going to be a really
surprises on the way.
Really nice year ahead.
So stick around and wait for what's to come.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. It really helps us.
It does. Thank you.
That's all we want for Christmas.
All we want for Christmas is your life update.
All right, guys, have a beautiful Christmas, an amazing New Year, and we'll chat again soon.
Bye.
Bye.